It's 9:02. Can you please we'll call us to order. Can we do the roll call?
Commissioner Ashworth.
Here.
Commissioner Banks.
Here.
Commissioner Hassler.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Wild.
Here.
Thank you. Lieutenant, would you lead us in the pledge this morning?
Yes, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to everyone, our visitors, as well as our staff members and so forth. We have a deputization right off the bat. We have two officers, I believe, from the St. Louis Airport Police Department. Could you please step forward? You can come a little closer. It's okay.
Just watching his bite.
Yeah. I promise you this would be very painless, just a little bit. Once the chief gets the paddles out, we'll be fine. Just repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States, that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, the state of Missouri, and the charter and ordinances of St. Louis County, that I will faithfully adhere to the regulations provided in the rules and procedures for deputization as adopted by St. Louis County, and that I will faithfully demean myself as a deputized officer of the St. Louis County Police Department. So help me God. Thank you. And one more piece of business under your duties as a deputized officer of St. Louis County. You are restricted to the protection of persons and properties at Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Congratulations to you both. Thank you. All right. Please say hi to the board. All right. Keep up the good work out there, guys. Chief Cox, I understand you have some commendations.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Board of Police Commissioners, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First up is Police Officer Doyle, and he will be presented by Captain Mundell. Hand that to Jimmy.
Morning, Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, on September 29th last year, Officer Doyle, sorry, I'm going to call you David. Officer Doyle was on duty on day shift. He had just left the county garage and was heading westbound into Wildwood, and he saw some heavy smoke. He, being inquisitive, goes looking for the source of that smoke. Within a minute or so, he locates a house that's on fire. What had happened prior to that, there was an individual walking in that subdivision, saw some smoke coming out of the garage of a residence and notified the resident there. All of this is captured on a Ring doorbell camera across the street, which is interesting also. So as they made notification to the resident that there was a fire in their garage, they were in the process of calling 911, and Dave appears. So that's our fastest response time ever. You think about calling 911 and there's the cop. So as he approaches, he realizes this fire is taking off pretty quick in the garage. These residences are attached villas. So obviously there's a next door neighbor that's unaware of the fire. It is spreading quickly. So Dave goes next door, gets those individuals out of that house. By then, we're talking within 3 minutes of the smoke, there's pretty much a roaring fire in the garage. There's 2 vehicles in that garage. Both of those end up totally consumed by the fire. That fire spreads, into the residence, up through the attic, into the neighboring residence. So by the time the fire department is arriving, we're at about 6 or 7 minutes after the initial call. It is a pretty devastating fire that's consuming 2 residences. On top of that, obviously the fire department's concentrating on the fire. Dave goes to the next residence just to the south of that, which is occupied by an individual, elderly individual. One of the other officers responding had already contacted or attempted to contact that residence. They did not answer the door. Dave went back to that house. Again, this fire is pretty much roaring, pretty hot. The siding on that next door house is now catching fire and melting. And Dave's knocking on a door. He sees inside that there's an elderly resident with a walker. So he is helping her out of the resident. That was the picture that wound up in the news. You can obviously see how bad that fire was burning by the time they're getting that second resident out. The heat, again, was pretty intense. Residents across the street had its siding melting on the front of that house also. So Dave and an off-duty sergeant who also saw the smoke and responded, encountered intense heat. Just when they pulled on the street, they could feel that fire going. So excellent job by Officer Doyle, and Sergeant Gary Robertson was the sergeant that responded also. They were able to get the residents out safely while the fire department dealt with the fire. So fantastic job, quick response by the Wildwood Police. So thank you and congratulations.
Dave, you have any guests?
My wife.
Hi, wife. Congratulations. Congratulations. bro.
There you go. Smart man.
All right. Next up, we have another Chief's commendation for Officer Pudkowski, and he will be presented by Lieutenant Noonan.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Chief Cox, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm here to present this award to Officer Pudkowski from South County Precinct. In September of 2025, Doug received a radio assignment for a fraud at a credit union. Limited information. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but understand this was about a 4-month investigation for a guy in patrol. Doug, he identified 4 individuals, the ringleader and 3 co-conspirators. He worked with multiple jurisdictions throughout the state of Missouri and Illinois and the federal government. He ended up identifying the 4 individuals, got the IRS involved where they froze their accounts. These individuals were responsible for taking or fraudulently doing car loans for close to $250,000. They got their accounts frozen. They got all 4 individuals indicted federally, and a good job.
Guests,
Thank you, sir. Wife and 2 kids.
wife, and 2 kids.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for being here. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
job. I have another Chief's commendation for Officer Cantino, and he will be presented by Lieutenant McGee.
Morning, members of the board, Chief Cox, ladies and gentlemen. On August 6th of 2025, we had an officer, Jordan Cole, who received a call for a fraud that was occurring at a Menards on Manchester Road. He took into custody a couple that were in possession of numerous fake IDs and some fictitious barcodes they were doing fraudulent returns on. Knowing he had a bigger case than, knowing that there was more there, he enlisted the help of our precinct detective, Tom Cantino. They took the two into custody and got in-custody warrants done. Detective Cantino helped Officer Cole fill out a search warrant to get the vehicle, to search the vehicle, and they got a lot of evidence out of there. During this time, we had Officer Signorino. She was on limited duty, and we enlisted her help on tracking down up to 10 victims in several different states of stolen identity. These two were, they bonded out, and they got arrested a couple weeks later over in Swansea, Illinois for the same thing. They got out again. They wanted their belongings back, so we convinced them to come to the station to pick up their belongings. We locked them up on some more warrants then. And sure enough, they were in possession of more fake IDs and counterfeit debit cards. Another search warrant was done for that vehicle, and we got more out of there. So we put Signorino in charge of tracking down all of our victims. Most of them did not know that their identities had been stolen, and they said a lot of stuff like, oh, well, I was wondering why my credit score went down, or why, you know, these companies were trying to call them. So, but the three of them worked together. They listened to hours of jail recordings with incriminating statements of this guy. And then a lot of the information that they got, they were able to give to other agencies in Missouri and Illinois, so the cases were brought on them again. So they had a total of 11 felonies. Warrants were issued on these two suspects. So they had real good teamwork together. They put their heads together. It took a little over a month to get all this put together. And Tom did a real good job of mentoring and showing to officers on how to do these types of investigations that they were unfamiliar with. So they did a really good job. I'm proud of my officers. So good job.
Cantino, you bring anybody with you?
I did not, sir.
All right, congratulations, good job, man. All right, we have a life-saving award for Officer Cherenziak, and it will be presented by Sergeant Levy.
Members of the board, everybody. If anybody's ever taken care of somebody with like one of your parents that's gotten elderly and maybe a special needs kid, imagine the horror of waking up and they're gone. So Sunset Hills PD had this happen with an elderly dementia patient. She had wandered off from her home. Sunset called us in February of 2025 to help assist in finding this woman. 20 degrees, super cold. It's a nightmare. Tim responded, and for over 90 minutes, both on foot and his car, just looking for this old lady, neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood. Finally, he was able to see something that didn't look right in this like ditch, kind of by a bush. The woman had hunkered down and was calling it quits. She was on her deathbed. Thankfully, he saw something out of the ordinary, went and checked on it. There she was, alive. So without his hard work and dedication to the cause, she wouldn't have made it back home. So good work, buddy.
Bring any guests today?
I brought my wife and my parents.
Congratulations, congratulations, guys. We made a few promotions recently. First up was the Deputy Chief James Schneider, promoted to Deputy Chief from the Division of Patrol.
The other Big Daddy.
He's new.
Congratulations, man.
Jimmy, did you bring guests?
Yes, I did. And I want to make sure I get this right because
Have them
I don't have
stand.
regrets.
You want the mic?
I'll take the mic. You know me, I like to have the mic. My wife of 34 years, Lisa Schneider, please stand up. You've been with me on a long journey. I promise it's only going to be a little bit longer, just a smidge longer. I keep telling you, I'm sorry.
You can make it really short.
Yes. My oldest son, Jake Schneider. Thank you very much for being here. You know, I can see Mikey Bradley, who I've worked with forever, was Jake Schneider's Pee Wee coach. Ben Cluse has been in our life forever. All of my people in South County that made me look really good. Dan Rehagen, not so much Tim Rehagen. Laura Vineyard and Matt Kapler, it means a lot to have you guys here. You did wonderful things for me. Katie Steyer couldn't be here today, but she's been with me for about 13 years. She basically ran the division of patrol for me.
Now you tell us.
Clayton Fair, Brad Bland, they all started off with me. Putkowski started off with me. You know, I'm sure, Pleviak was down in the third with me, Corey Simons. I thank you guys for, if I've forgotten somebody, I apologize, but thank you again.
Next up, I'm sure this guy will be a lot shorter. Promoted to Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Cavaletti, promoted from Division of Criminal Investigation.
Not sure how you follow that. My mom and dad, George and Shirley, my sister and her boyfriend, Jennifer and Forrest, and the biggest supporter, that's why I'm up here today, is my wife, Sherry.
Have them stand up.
All right, next up, and I'm sure this guy will be even shorter because he's a man of few words. He's a man of action. Lieutenant Clayton Fair, promoted to the rank of lieutenant from the Bureau of Professional Standards. Any guess, Lieutenant?
No, sir.
No guess?
But BPS family is here, so thanks for coming down.
Congratulations. All right, and promoted to the rank of sergeant, Alexander Woodward, promoted to the rank of sergeant from crime scene. Any guess? All right, well, congratulations. Thank you. All right, well, I think Terry's up next with the budget report.
Well, before
Sorry.
I forgot Zach Sigler. My God, all the heavy work he's done.
Yes.
He's my genetic clone.
Jesus Christ.
I stand in.
Lisa, can you get him out of here right now?
Hey,
Let's just say it's safe to assume that everybody here is for Deputy Chief Jim Schneider. Jesus Christ.
hey, Chief, before we start the report, let's give everyone an opportunity that doesn't want to stay and listen to it to leave. We thank our guests, and everyone's welcome to stay as we get into our report. But if you need to, you can leave now.
when Tiger Woods was playing and he would leave, go to the next hole, and everybody would leave.
Would leave with them,
Everybody
yeah.
left with him, yeah. You still
No,
putting?
this is a good thing.
I saw that happen.
Right.
I don't mind it, though. He might have. There you go.
Okay. We'll go ahead and continue now, Chief, with the report. And Terry, I'm sorry they all left. They're missing it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sad. All right, good morning. I really don't have a lot of changes, except for, you might have noticed it was a higher deficit. And that is because of the retirement percentage that I always talk about. Well, it was increased by 5.5% for all the pro staff and commission. So that kind of made it about 900,000 shorter. The other thing is, we turned in the budget last week, and that just goes to the budget office, and we have a meeting with them August 11th to discuss it before it goes to the county executive. We still are meeting every month with Councilman Harder on our budget. We have 4 letters over there for, or legislation, I should say now, because I think they had their first reading last night for budget supplementals. The supplemental for ShotSpotter is still being held. And I think that's really, oh, the ARPA, that's a big one. We have been reimbursed for the whole 23 million. So that's done with that.
Should have left with that, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. You have any questions?
Actually, 2 comments before the question. The first one is overall, I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, good.
Particularly mid-year to mid-year,
Yeah.
year-over-year comparison. And to everybody, thank you for your focus on overtime. It's down
Huge.
27%, and that's the greatest variable cost we can manage. So thank you all for
Yeah,
your
they've done a
leadership
great
and
job.
the officers for your doership. My question gets into, you mentioned 27 budget. Anything in there that we need to be aware of from a first cut perspective?
It was a large increase, not terrible when you think our budget was cut by 8%. We did like about a 10%, 11%. Really nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. We did the normal maintenance, just technology has really increased, maintenance agreements, things like that. Vehicles are in there, no other capital items.
And it's
kinda-
still went up 10%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
sure. Anything else?
Anybody else, questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is researching it out. I'm gonna say it can't be planned.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Molly.
So I have our June data and quarter 1 and 2. With our failure to yields, looks pretty similar for every month. We have 52% that occurred in Jennings and North County. There are 545 for the first 6 months of the year. This is down about 33% compared to the same time last year. That's less than last quarter, which was 41%. So we know that there is a decrease, but we don't know why yet. It's something we're monitoring. For patrol stats, this is just for our 8 precincts and transit and SRU. In June, there were 258 felony arrests, which is down 3 compared to the previous month. 51 guns were seized, which is down 11. And then 316 misdemeanor arrests, which is down 38 from May. For NIBRS, crimes against persons, homicides are down nearly 30%, 12 so far this year compared to 17 last year. Almost every category is down. Aggravated assault has an increase of 6.2%. The subcategory of knife cutting instrument is up 39.3, but that's a much smaller percentage than it has been in previous months. And then other dangerous weapon is up 10.1%.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is other dangerous weapon?
Is anything that doesn't fall into knife, hands, feet, fists. It can be a laundry detergent bottle or a flower pot or a rod. It's pretty varied.
Okay, thanks.
And then hands, feet, and fists, it's also up 14.8. Crimes against persons in total is up 0.2%, so it's basically even to the same time last year. These are our homicide infographics. There were 2 homicides last month, one in St. Louis County, one in Moline Acres. Crimes Against Persons has investigated 23 homicides so far for this year, 12 for St. Louis County, 11 for municipal agencies.
Probably before you move on the slide on the right, historically, it's been maybe 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. The county usually has 3 or 4 times as much as munis have. This year, the munis are basically equal. Do we have a feel for, I mean, we know that there's homicides, but do we have a feel for why those are so high this year relative to the last 5 or 6 years?
Especially when it comes to the municipal ones, it's very different because it's when they choose to decide if they want St. Louis County to investigate or not. So that's hard to try and, if you're looking at the municipal numbers that we investigate, to try and compare those because it's their choice of if we're involved or not.
Yeah, obviously they're using much more of our resources as
Yeah.
opposed to 2 or 3 versus 11. That's,
Last year, there was a definite dip in our municipal homicides, but then this year, I think it's getting back to what it was previously. But last year, there was definitely a dip in the municipal homicides.
Thank you.
For crimes against property, every single major category is down. Robbery is down 14.1%, and most categories are also down except for strong arm robberies, which is up 63.6%. I looked into all 36 of those briefly. Most months ranged from like 3 to 6 a month. May did have 14 of them, which is why we have that increase, but there isn't a commonality between those. They can happen at stores, out in the public, inside homes. It's pretty varied. Overall, crimes against persons is down 7.3%. Crimes against society is typically the same month over month. In total, it's down 12.7%. The combined persons, property, and society is down 6.1% compared to the same time last year. And for some of our quarterly numbers, we looked into the calls for service. These are the previous 5 months and the moving average between those months. As expected with our summer months, most of the precincts have higher directed calls for service than the moving average. And then even with higher directed calls for service, many of these precincts are also still having higher self-initiated calls than the average. And these top calls tend to be similar each month. Top call was for directed was a sick case, and the top call for self-initiated is extra patrol. And then for our traffic stop data, they just finished Q2, so the TSR committee will receive that data soon and schedule their meeting. And I believe Captain Bland can speak on that next meeting if they've scheduled that. Any questions? Okay. Typically for our quarterly meetings, we weren't doing a behind the numbers segment, but we have a large manual that they are working on. They're hoping that it'll be on the agenda for next month, so we thought we would have a special guest to talk about the private security unit. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Detective Mace.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chief. I'm Josh Mace. I'm the Private Security Coordinator for St. Louis County. Some of you might not know that we license all the private security officers for St. Louis County. Some of you may. It's actually something that is in the county charter. So it is specifically regulated to us, and it's also in county ordinance. We do it together jointly with St. Louis City. We've been doing it that way for a long time. It works really well together. We're able to alleviate a lot of the redundancy that it was prior to us joining together doing this. What that means is something happens in the city, we handle it in the city and the county, vice versa if it happens in the county. If we need to shut down a business or revoke somebody's license, it's revoked across the board. We've been doing this for a long time and it works well together. The upcoming manual that we are hoping to get signed off on soon was worked on between the city and the county, and heavy input from both. And we've pretty much agreed on darn near 100% of what's in there. What we do is we do background investigations on the security officers. We handle complaints. They come in and they get their fingerprints done. We register security companies. I do field inspections on the security officers, so I'll do random checks to make sure that they're in compliance with the security licensing manual. I also investigate any citizen complaints or company complaints on those individuals to determine if that individual is violating anything in the manual, and then we will suspend or revoke their license depending on the investigation. I also handle the CCW permits for St. Louis County. Some of the numbers that we have right now for security companies registered with us is we have 595 companies that we oversee. We have over 9,000 security licenses issued out between St. Louis City and St. Louis County. Violations last year, just to give you the numbers, around the entire year, we had 132 violations or denials of licensing. Currently this year, we're up to 51. Last year, we had to revoke one company license for violations, and to date, we haven't had to do any. So I hope it continues that way. We try to get compliance over anything, but we get some of those companies that they just don't care about the rules. CCWs, currently we've done over 1,300, and the renewals have been 2,300 this year. Last year's numbers for the new applicants were a little over 2,500 and close to 4,000 for renewals. So we do get a lot of people coming into the records room for private security and concealed carry permits. So, do you have any questions?
What?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know you had to renew your CCW.
Yeah, so we have it every 5 years. There is alternative ways to renew, not alternative ways, but you can renew it for longer than that. We recommend only doing it for 5 years. Reciprocity with other states only accepts that 5-year renewal. So if you do the lifetime, it's only good in the state of Missouri. Well, we're already constitutional carry, so it almost makes that a moot point. So it's beneficial for the individual to get the 5-year permit, and then they just come back every 5 years and renew. If you did a lifetime, for example, it would take you 45 years to recoup the money off the 5 years. The only thing you're paying for is having to come in once every 5 years. So, but
Another question I had, maybe for you, Chief. The landmass, as it pertains to the various precincts, obviously North County is probably the largest, correct? And by population, what is the per capita of officers to the residents? I mean, you don't have to answer that right now, but I'd be curious to know what that looks like. Because when you look at those percentages of arrests and stops and blah, 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 it's way out of proportion. But I think when you adjust it for the size and population, it might not be as bad as we think. Am I wrong on that?
Well, we went to 12-hour shifts, so obviously you need fewer officers, but the first precinct, when you do a workload study, it includes like the population, the area that we cover, calls for service, which is, I think you guys all know that the first precinct average more calls for service per year than the other 8 precincts combined. So that's why they have the additional resources. It's not necessarily just by the land mass, like Wildwood is huge, but they require fewer officers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, because they have a larger land mass, but they don't have as many. It's not as dense, right?
So it's not just population; it's also calls for service and stuff like that that goes into the workload study.
Okay, I'd like to get into that a little more later. Thank you.
Mace, before you leave, there's a contract that we're going to approve. It's an intergovernmental agreement on what you do,
Yes.
right? Is that anything new in there that we need to be aware of as we make the decision?
no, that's just basically reiterating what we've been doing for the last 14, 15 years, so, which again, that works well. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. I was wondering that. Assume that's why they had them talk.
First of all, I assume you guys all knew that I was going to give a presentation today. That's why we're in the big room. As you can see, everybody has come out because they definitely want to hear the things I have to say.
Standing room only.
Absolutely. And I've seen everybody left before. That kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. So not only am I here to talk about the quarterly report from Bureau of Professional Standards, it's something that myself and Captain Bland talked about. It makes sense that a representative from our Bureau would be here to talk about that in case there are any questions coming from you. I'm also here to speak a little bit about the Bureau itself, what we do and who we are. First off, we are a Bureau we're supposed to have 7 sergeants. We have 6, a lieutenant and a captain. I have many of them with me right here. If the BPS sergeants would like to stand up, and lieutenant, please, just so the board knows who you are. And Also, Lieutenant Conradi, who is just recently in there. I just wanted them to stand up so that you guys know I've been a lot of places in this department, and these are some of the very hardest working people I've ever worked with. We have a lot of things come through that, and they handle things very, very well. A couple of things that we do in the Bureau and what we're responsible for. We're responsible for deciding and investigating whether or not particular incidents, whether they be use of forces, pursuits, complaints, citizen complaints, whether or not they meet policy standards. If they do not meet policy standards, then what we'll do is we'll initiate an investigation. We will go through that investigation, and then we will give our recommendation to the chief of police, who actually is the one who delivers punishment. We recommend. So that's basically what we do. I like to call us the policy police. We don't really deal with anything criminal or anything more. We just deal with policies and things that go on within the department. Some of the things we've done over the last year, some of the changes we made, some of them actually were started by our good Captain Pleviak in the back there, who said he promised he would stand up when I mentioned his name, but now he's looking at me like he's going to possibly violate a policy after this when we're out in the lobby. Many of these things he started, and anything that I say here, I'm taking zero credit for this. This is all the hard work of people that came before me and the sergeants and the lieutenant that are in there. One of the things we changed is how we handle critical incidents, officer-involved shootings and things like that. We noticed there was a bit of a problem there. Now we are working much more closely with DCI as soon as they start. So we get a picture of what's actually going on instead of waiting for them to be done a year and a half later and then trying to catch back up to what happened a year and a half ago. So we're looking at video, we're doing all the things with them. We're not necessarily initiating an investigation because we have to wait on the officer that was involved in a shooting, but we are looking at a lot of the ancillary things that have went on with that and trying to get those things taken care of so that when so much time passes, sometimes you're getting back into that and you've got to start from zero a year and a half later. So that's one of the things we changed. Updated all of our Bureau policies in there to be a little bit more up to date. That was again started by Captain Pleviak, but we crossed the finish line with that. So those are all up to date. One of the things I'm extremely proud of is this was led by our sergeants. So one of the things that when I came in there, I wanted to do is I wanted to focus more on not just punishing the officers, but training the officers. How can we get them to do better? In doing that, what we found was there was a little bit of a gap in the training that we had as far as the academies or assigned training that we could give somebody. Sometimes we couldn't find a training or a class that actually met up with it exactly what happened. So we got together with the academy using their VirTra. So now we can go in there and train the officers on situations that are exactly what happened there. So we're using the academy and that to help with our training. We're big on training in there. We're big on teaching. We're big on the officers learning the right way to do things so they won't come back down to our office. It's not just about written reprimands and taking out some people. It's about making the officers better. So I think we're doing a pretty good job on that going forward. So hopefully. And the last thing I want to talk about is the guidance program. We've changed some things with the guidance program, gave it a little bit more meat and teeth in the past. I can tell you that I know people that went on the guidance program. I'm not sure exactly what happened with it, and then it was just done. We're holding the officers a little bit more accountable now when they get on the guidance program. So I think that's something that's, and we're doing that again through regular meetings, through trainings, through things to make the officer better. We want the officer to succeed. We want the officer to get off the guidance program. So we're giving them all the tools they need to be able to do that. So that's pretty much it for the Bureau. If there are any questions about that before I get into the actual numbers for the quarter?
I have a question.
Please.
Can you describe the guidance program?
Sure. So if an officer has a history or repeat offenses for a long period of time and or there's egregious acts, what we do is we put them on a guidance program. And the guidance program is basically a program that helps them become better. It's a year-long program. We meet with them and their watch commanders and everybody right at the start. We tell them where their deficiencies are. We tell them what they need to do to improve. We give them a chance to then tell us what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and we go through that. Every month then, a watch commander will send us a report of how they're doing that month, And then every quarter, we'll meet with them to make sure they're doing and are headed in the right direction. During that time, we suggest as much training as possible that's leaning towards what their deficiencies are, and then we go through the year like that. At the end of the year, we decide whether or not they successfully completed the guidance program or not. We give that up to the chief, and then the chief will make a decision if he agrees with us whether or not they completed the program successfully.
Thanks.
So it's kind of like a performance improvement plan in the private sector.
100%, yes. And we also have a PIP too, but that's generally geared more towards our professional staff. It's the same thing, basically. It's just how we've done it. We've just changed it a little bit to make it a little bit more, how are we helping this person get
Specific
through?
to officers.
Correct.
Is guidance considered discipline? Is guidance considered discipline?
No, it's the discipline that gets you on the guidance program. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, they get
yes.
disciplined and guys. I got
Correct,
you. Okay.
correct. It's basically our way of helping that officer correct what they have been doing so that we don't have the discipline anymore.
And most of that's as a result of your investigations when the complaint comes to you, or
Correct. So
what
if you were-
triggers that?
Correct. If you were just to get a normal complaint, you're not going on a guidance program. It's
Just a
a pattern of behavior or an egregious. I mean, if something's extremely egregious, yes, you can go on the guidance program for that. But basically, we're noticing patterns, we're seeing those, and we're trying to correct those.
And if it's something that's egregious, obviously that's a broad.
It is, yes.
Um,
It's all subjective, honestly.
If something, so what do you do when something turns out to be criminal during your investigation?
Well, criminal will get pushed upstairs to the second floor, and they'll handle that criminally. Now, does that mean there could be another policy violation because of that criminal act? Sure. And sometimes as we go through, we'll start an investigation, and then we'll find during an investigation that there's other policies that have been violated. So then we'll go back and we'll handle those as well. But the criminal aspect of it will be handled by the second floor.
Good. And what's the second floor?
I'm sorry, our DCI, our criminal investigators. It'll be handled like any other crime would be handled by our detectives.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
So my job with the numbers is extremely easy. I have one slide. This is the quarterly report. As you can see, not much has actually changed. I do want to draw attention to the internal investigation incidents. As you see, from 2024 to 2025, they went from 50 to 70, and then they stayed relatively similar in 26. I think a big part of that is due to the training that we put on for our supervisors over the last 2 years. We've had at least 3 major trainings, one in person with the sergeants and lieutenants, the second one this year for everybody, sergeant, lieutenants, captains, and colonels. And then Conradi, when he was still there, put on a FaceTime or a Zoom meeting with all the sergeants to discuss different things. And I think that is because the supervisors are learning a little bit more how to supervise, how to do their jobs, how to do things. And I think that's why you've seen that initial jump and you've seen it stay consistent throughout there. So that's a good thing. So other than that, are there any questions on the numbers?
It's a nit question, but it is a question. So vehicle accidents are up, but vehicle pursuits are down. That seems.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Vehicle accidents are up, but pursuits are down. Those seem to be trending opposite of what they should. Is maybe I'm counterintuitive, but it seems like the more pursuits you have, the more accidents you would have.
Well, true. Well, you remember pursuits are a very small percentage of why we have accidents in the first place. So, and what I've seen also is I've seen a lot more non-preventable accidents come into the office, which means other people are hitting us.
Oh.
Not that that's necessary, but accidents encompass a lot more than just pursuits. There's 1,000 reasons to have accidents, and that's just one part of it. But on the face of it, yes, but then I would say that there's other reasons we're having them besides that now. So,
thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He's humble, but I will say we talk about performing our duties at the standard of excellence all the time. Bureau of Professional Standards, couldn't be more proud of them. The work they do is arguably one of the most difficult jobs on any police department. Those guys do their jobs with high integrity, character, and they are courageous because we pick the right people to go in there to do the right thing all the time, no matter what. So very proud of your office, Dave, and you. Thank you for what you do for the organization. Strategic planning updates for the first 2 quarters.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, we've gotten a lot done in year 4 so far, the strategic plan, so just wanted to give you an update on both quarters 1 and 2. So quick overview where we were at the end of quarter 1. Our completed items were up by 2, our in progress were down by 3, our reoccurring were up by 3, and our not started were down by 2. Just looking in what specifically those items were. The committee completed and reoccurring key activities include improving the public's perception of crime by clearly communicating crime trends through interactive technology. This was completed by the Chief's Office Committee, and it was done in a few different ways. And again, this is another key activity that overlapped with already completed ones in the past. So one thing that happened was there's a consolidation of all department social media pages to help improve the dissemination of information. Quarterly crime releases are now done by the Public Information Office. The public crime map was revamped with pertinent data and up-to-date information, and an infographic was also prepared for the public for all department resources that we offer. The next one was enhancing current strategy to increase information sharing among agencies. This was completed by the DCI committee. It was one of those that was kind of in the works, but it's progressed through time. Basically, a lot of agencies are now on CARE, and there's been an expansion of our CIT program, so there's automatically more various agencies that we can share information with and vice versa. Additionally, about a year ago, the Gateway Regional Criminal Interdiction Task Force was created. That continues to grow monthly through the collaboration of targeted enforcement actions with other agencies. So kind of the same premise there. Next one was increasing awareness of wellness resources, including EAP. Again, this was an overlap with a key activity that was completed during quarter 4 with the hybrid committee. So there was some things that were done there. Additionally, there were updates made to the wellness unit webpage, chaplains visiting assigned precincts during roll calls. The next key activity is partnering with the PA, AUSA, and Family Court for specialized training and case development, risk management, and court testifying. This was accomplished with the DCI committee. Again, it was one of those that was kind of had an existing thing there, and it's just kind of snowballed since then. Currently, there's a corporate liaison system in place with the PA's office, county counselor, and family court. So there's a point of contact with different parts of each agency. Additionally, PAs have interdisciplinary training and interpersonal relationships with employees assigned to specific work elements. So there's a relationship there, like for instance, domestic violence kind of has their assigned PA. They have a working relationship. And both of these things are very important when it comes to just identifying potential deficiencies or ways to make things better within our report writing and warrant application. And if there's anything that's seen, it's brought to the attention of either the liaison or that one-on-one relationship.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you describe the PA's office? What is that?
The prosecuting attorney's office.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought so.
Oh.
I wasn't sure. Okay,
You're good.
Thank you.
And then the only one non-committee completed key activity was reviewing and updating the current response to resistance policy. As you know, it was passed at the March board meeting. It was updated to reflect most current case law, and to date, all first-line supervisors have undergone training on the updates to this policy. Hopping over to quarter 2, this is where we are currently. So our completed items are up by 3, our in progress are down by 3, our reoccurring are up by 1, and our not started are down by 1. So we are actually, all our in progress, we're under 50% now, which is really exciting. So just to highlight, we only had 1 committee completed activity this quarter, and it was explore ways to reduce burnout and boost morale in the Division of Patrol. This was handled by the Patrol Committee. And this is one of those key activities that was revised. So in our current strategic plan, it's actually different. What happened when that was assigned to the Patrol Committee, they did their research on it and they're like, this is actually going to harm morale. So we kind of revamped it to something that better fit the needs of the department. So this is a very broad one. There's a lot of overlap between a lot of things that have been done and a lot of things that are happening currently. One of the big things that the Patrol Committee did was there's a lot of overlap with some wellness key activities that Special Ops had done. They also proposed additional questions on the stay survey to, solicit more of that employee feedback and get that information. And additionally, we have the Chief's initiatives. He's in the process of gauging needs of the department by visiting work elements, and there's a lot of policy changes coming that we think would be very beneficial and will help us in the long run. And our non-committee completed key activities, they all kind of fall under the little same house here. Construct new North Central and Afton Southwest precincts, develop new property control facility, and develop a central location for the RIC to operate out of. As we know, Afton was completed in the spring of '24, North County was in the fall of '24, Central County was just recently in the spring of '26, along with the RIC and the property control facility. One other thing I'd like to briefly highlight is every year we have to do an annual report for CLIA, just reviewing our strategic plan and what we've accomplished, kind of what we've learned. And that report is now available in Power DMS to kind of look through, and it highlights all 15 key activities that were completed during 2025. But overall, just looking at Q1 and Q2, there's been a lot of movement for our 4th year of the plan. We have less than 50% of the items in progress, and we're realizing that some of these in progress items might take a long time. So we're keeping in mind, what that might look like if we need to roll it into the next 5-year plan. But I think overall, we're in a spot where there's a lot of change coming, and we're excited to see what's gonna happen. And I think we are also just on track to touch every key activity by the end of this plan. We only have 3 that haven't been touched yet. And I know one of them, I think this next quarter is gonna be knocked to in progress. So any questions?
First, I have a couple. The first one is to everybody, with you being the spokesperson for them, congratulations, great progress. You've talked about the not started ones. I know there were some in the Teneo plan that we said we're not going to do. In reflection, are there things in our 5-year plan that we said we're not going to do because the world has changed around us, and are those included in the not started yet, or do we just exclude them in our tracking measures?
Right. So there's some, for instance, like that patrol one that was done. We put something in the plan and we're like, this is not going to work. So a lot of the ones that you would deem that we're not going to do, we purposely have the plan so that we change and revise it to meet our needs. And I think we've had 2 other key activities that have come up like that, and we were able to kind of tweak them to look into a different route, kind of along the same lines. The not started ones, I can't remember the other 2. I just think they truly just haven't been started. I don't know if we're not necessarily, we still might do them. And if we don't deem that we can do them, we're going to find a way to make it work for us and change it to something we can.
Excellent, thank you. Second question is really a very broad, highly subjective question, but we put a plan in place 3.5 years ago, sorry.
Yeah.
To do some things, right? Get new buildings built, those are the easy check things, but a lot of the other ones, get policies written, those are, yes, we did that. But there's a lot in here that gets well beyond just what it says, right? It's about behavior change, it's about morale, it's about quality of employment, employee work life and stuff like that. Bless you. Do you think the plan's doing what we wanted it to do, or are we at some point just kind of getting into the checkbox, right? I know it's highly subjective. It's not intended to be critical. It's just intended to be a self-awareness of, is it doing what we wanted to do?
Yeah. I think, we've run into a lot of key activities that are a lot of overlap, which I think has just been a good learning curve for us for the next plan. Like, maybe we don't need 107 of these. But I think it's kind of getting the conversation started for some things that either have been thought of or we were hesitant on the fence with. And we're like, we could make this work with the plan. So I think it's been positive. Again, some of the things that boosting morale and all that, you're not going to see an impact of this plan until probably later down the line. But again, I think the fact that everyone's aware of it, everyone's trying to contribute to it, and they're trying to, and people are listening, executive is listening, we're sending them proposals. I think that's boost morale just right there, that there's so much involvement in it.
Thank you. And I think you answered my last question, which is we're 3.5 years in, so we got 1.5 years left of this plan. What's next? And I think you mentioned, next plan. So if that's accurate, we can stop there. If that's not accurate, we'll put you in the hot seat here in about 1 year.
Okay.
Maybe a half a year, right?
Oh, boy.
Leading into our last year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marissa. Does a great job with that, and I think it is working because I think the most important thing is it gives our employees a chance to have input on the way the police department is run. Lieutenant Higgy with the HR report.
Morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Go over our June totals with you. As far as commissioned resignations, This, and correct, I apologize, we've got some, I've got May up there. We should have June, so my typo. Our resignation, the data is correct, though. We had 4 resignations versus 2. Retirements were 3 versus 2, and as far as pro staff from this June to last, we were at 2 versus 7 last year. We had a pretty good spike last year. Retirements for pro staff, we've got 0 and 0.
Before you move on.
Yes, sir.
It's very small numbers, but we are starting to see it tick up. The resignations, do we have a feel for why?
No, sir. As a matter of fact, we have evenly countered what we've lost. If we talk about commissioned, just going with this slide, when we look at some of the losses total that we've had for commissioned, we'll just go with this slide right here. So 2026 commissioned for commissioners, everybody in the room. So we have hired 27 police officers for this year, all totaled. So we've hired 9 police officers in the month of June. We've hired 27 on the year. We have lost 30. Now, if we see our website activity, we've just sworn in a couple new police officers. We have 1 more that's coming. So we kind of zero out on those numbers. So we're kind of at that 0 mark. And when you look at a lot of the agencies, we kind of see that we're going in that direction. I'll get into kind of what we're doing to counter that as well. How do we increase recruitment? How do we target the proper, recruiting in the right areas? So that's kind of what we're targeting now. We've had a ton of meetings lately and kind of focusing on what we can do to get ahead of this 100 officer deficit that we've had for, 20 years. I'd have to look to see how long we've had this deficit, but we've had it for a long time. We need to figure it out. So that's what we're working on.
Well, I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. I think we all understand that this
Sure.
has been here. We've been treading water for 5 years, so we get the attraction piece, but we've also focused on the retention piece because we want to get off the treading water. So I'll ask my question again. Do we have a feel for why we're starting to see a bit more of the turnover, people leaving, not just what you're doing to recruit?
We are fighting and a lot of the officers and commanders in the room understand, but we're fighting a traditional bubble right now where prior to, call it 2001, we had a traditional retirement program that involves more of a lump payout when you get to your rule of 80. Those officers have already begun, say a few years ago, we've seen that begin where they get a lump payout. It's totally different than what we're dealing with a PTO program right now. So we are seeing that increase in those retirements. So we are dealing with those retirements. You see a lot more retirements. I think that's probably our biggest issue is a lot of these officers that get the big payout, they are going from that traditional plan. That being said, I don't know exactly how many traditional employees are still here, but that is one thing that they're just at that term. And I could explain to you all a little bit more some of those things, or I'm sure other people can as well, as it pertains to the traditional plan and what that looks like, but it would take a while. So pro staff, as far as what we've hired in June, we have 4, and we've hired 28 pro staff on the year so far. Some of our training, some of our academy classes that I'll update you on, we have our class 214 is underway at the academy. We ended up starting them on the 29th of June. We'll have another class go on January 4th of 2027. We already have 3 on board for that class, so I'm hopeful that will be a really good turnout. We have a lot of still several months to work on those recruits. So we have several people that we're developing already as far as pre-recruits. We also have, and I think I'll produce that info to you next month, but as far as this cadet program that we have, I wanted to show everybody how many of these recruits we're putting in that are cadets and where we kind of get them from other entities on our department. It's pretty informative when you see this as far as starting these employees off and letting them grow and develop. It's very important. It's been great for us during these down times where staffing is difficult. Dispatch academies for the July Dispatch Academy class, that is underway. We have 5 in that class. They just begun their training. And then we'll have another one October the 12th. And that number is at 4 right now. We were at 5. We had 1 voluntary withdrawal yesterday. So that number for October so far is 4. That will increase though. So we are going to begin a fall/winter marketing campaign with the Public Information Office. That's already in the works. We've already met about this because how do you do marketing with a low budget? So we're working on that, and then that will target some of the December college graduates. We also want to begin a larger scale marketing campaign in January, something where we can target the graduates when they get out of college in May. So one thing that we wanted to focus on is we have universities that have criminal justice programs, and we want to do a better job hitting the mark with those college graduates that are going through these criminal justice programs, just getting our brand and our name out there a little bit better so maybe we can increase these numbers. It's vital, it's important. So with looking at the, call it 172 colleges and universities that we, and military bases that we visit annually, what is productive, and just looking at the numbers. So we have these universities that have these programs. We just want to tap into that a little bit more. So I'll have some more to follow in the next couple of months. We'll see how some of these things work out. They're getting up and running. So hopefully we can get some increases and make this 0 go into the green where we can get some positive numbers. Any questions at all?
No.
Thank you all.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, report from Veronica Claiborne with communications update.
Good morning, Chief, members of the board.
Good morning.
So the Bureau of, I'll introduce myself. I'm Veronica Claiborne. I'm the Director of the Bureau of Communications. I've been in communications 31 years. So I've been there a long time, had the pleasure of working and starting as a dispatcher. Our center is located at 1150 Hannah in the building with the Office of Emergency Management and the Emergency Communications Network. All of our responsibilities overlap, so it's kind of good that we're all there together. At some point, we touch the radio system, and when there is major disasters and civil unrest, we work with the Office of Emergency Management. The mission of the Bureau is we are committed to prompt, efficient, and accurate service for first responders in the community. And in June last month, we actually adopted a vision statement that focuses on care, communication, and commitment. So the care principle is every call counts and every call is important. The communication is good communication saves lives. And the commitment is everyone should be committed to the mission. Our unit is CALIA certified. Our first accreditation was in 2010, where we received the Triarch Award with the department. We were the 6th in the United States to receive a Triarch Award at that time. In March of 24, we completed our 5th accreditation with excellence. And in 2020, PSD2 Amy Schmidt took over as the Bureau Accreditation Manager, which previously was my position. In our unit, we have 14 positions. So since I started, we have actually grown, and there's a lot of growth for PSD starting. We have the Quality Assurance Manager, Training Coordinator. So there are positions for growth now. When you start, you just don't stay as a public safety dispatcher. You can grow in that in our organization. Our PSD Training Academy first class was in 2018. We've had 193 graduates since then. Class 28, which started on Monday, actually has 6 PSDs that are training, and they are set to graduate on September the 11th. Our next class will start in October, and we are hoping to have 12 in that class as well. The Academy is a 9-week class, and during that time, they learn our CAD system, geography, our incident codes, how to work on the radio, how to speak on the radio, and how to answer calls on the phone. Our system is broken into 2 disciplines, your call taker and your dispatcher. So the class that's in session now is actually a call taker class, so they will learn all aspects of call taking. Once that's completed, the 9 weeks, they work on the floor. A minimum, could be a minimum of 12 weeks, but sometimes we have people that finish sooner than that. And they, after their initial on the floor training, they go to work 3 months to get the discipline under their belt. Once they're completed there, they go to another 2-week academy class and learn the discipline that they didn't learn before, and then they're put back on the floor. So it takes about a year for a dispatcher to be fully trained in both disciplines and to be fully able to operate on the floor independently in both disciplines. Our academy currently has 206 students enrolled, 193 graduate. We have a 97% overall success rate, and that does include the class now, so it can only go up from there. We pray that everybody graduates this class, and then our percentage will continue to grow. That's why it looks in the 2026 looks a little low, but it does include the current class. Based on that, the success on the floor is actually about 70%. So that's where we're focusing our efforts of getting people to be successful on the floor. So we recently purchased a simulator to give them more class time to actually go through scenarios and learn that position. So we're hoping that the simulator helps to improve our success rate on the floor. Jason does a really good job of doing surveys and asking the students, what did you learn? What could we do better to help to improve? So he does a survey at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. And when they're on the floor, they complete a survey as well to see how we can improve their learning, since everyone learns a lot differently. Bureau staffing and operations. The Bureau has authorized 99 employees. On a typical day, we work 8 positions, which 8 radio positions, and have an average of 8 call takers at one time and 2 supervisors on duty at all time to fill notifications and any other type of administrative functions that they need to do. Right now, we are -5, and that's with our authorized, but we do have permission to hire additional 12, so we're hoping that we can get that additional 12 hired so that we can be fully staffed. Some of our responsibilities is our actual service population is a little bit over 600,000. What we do is we process, answer, and evaluate incoming phone calls, and once those are triaged, they're sent over to the dispatchers who actually dispatch the calls to the officers. The Bureau can staff up to 21 call-taking positions and 17 authorized radio frequencies. We have access to over 550 talk groups with 26 radio towers in St. Louis County. In addition to the population, we service 13 full staff contracts, 20 communication contracts, and 2 specialty contracts, which are like Bi-State and Metro Air. After hours, we also assume the responsibility of managing calls from animal control, transportation and public works, and the public administrator's office as well. So we take their calls after hours. Prior to September of 25, we were responsible for setting off the outdoor warning system, which now, I believe Mike Klaus explained that the National Weather Service now has that responsibility. However, we are the backup should there be any type of delays or any type of issues with the National Weather Service. We can manually set off the outdoor warning system, and we also serve as each month, we also are the ones who do the actual testing of the system. Of the 12 PSAPs, primary PSAPs within St. Louis County, we handle about 60% of the incoming 911 calls for the whole county. To date, we're up to 169,560 911 calls. and that's just in our center. Our call stats from January 1st to June of 30th, we've answered 312,144 calls, so we're on track to meet last year, which is a little over 700,000 calls in our center. And these are all the statistics, all the lines that come in, the non-emergency, the 911, the text to 911 are all included in that. This is a picture of what one of our station looks like. This is the Supervisors Council. So there are 8 systems that we have access to at any one time. A dispatcher could be responsible for up to 7 of those systems. The supervisors monitor ShotSpotter and the body down cameras for the officers, and our floor also is able to monitor the ShotSpotter, and I'll show you what that all looks like. So ShotSpotter right here is the gunshot detection system that we monitor. We receive alerts, and as you can see, our alerts can tell us if the shooter is actually moving and how fast they're moving. We can also determine if it's a high-capacity weapon that's being fired, and if it's like fully automatic. It tells us the number of rounds that are shot at that time, and it also gives us a location. And once the ShotSpotter is activated, the dispatcher will enter a call for service and dispatch the officers. The officers can also see that information. So typically they're kind of already en route before they usually get the actual call from the dispatch. CoreForce is the system that we use for our body cams that will tell us if there's an officer down. When it's activated, the camera comes up and the supervisors have access to see and determine if the officer is okay by looking at that body cam footage. We also have several mapping systems. Rapid SOS is one of the, an outside system that has a lot of different functions, but it plots to the house to where the calls come in. So when it dials 911, they get a map of where the call is actually coming from. And the same as our NextGen map, which is connected to our telephone system. So they have a lot of sources and a lot of maps available to them to determine where people are calling from to get them assistance.
Does that work with cellular also?
Yes, it does. In 2024, we embedded a clinician into our center to handle, and she's our community behavioral health liaison, which is Donna, and she does a really great job of handling calls that we don't have to send officers to. It's typically a diversion program, which was kind of spearheaded by Captain Jeremy Romo. But Donna is a very good resource for our center. One of her stories was that a lady called in, was not getting the appropriate health care that she needed from her home health service, and she fired them and called 911 because she couldn't get her medication. The call taker determined that this is not something that an officer could handle. So she asked the citizen if she would be willing to speak with our clinician, and she was willing. And Donna was able to help her get better resources to get into her home to help her manage her medication and her daily needs. And about 6 months after all this happened, the lady called Donna back and was very pleased with her, and we didn't have to send an officer out. And she even told her that she was able to manage her medicine on her own, so she knew how to take her medicine without. So Donna has a lot of resources, and they use her daily. So, and that's it for our center. And it's part of BJC. So, any questions?
I think that there's way more than meets the eye. People don't really know all the inside stuff, so thank you.
Oh, you're
for the
welcome.
detail.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
All set.
Okay.
Absolutely, thank you.
Good job, Aaron. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our report.
All right, thank you, sir. Item F is the minutes from June 17th meeting. Assuming everyone's had a chance to review them, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes from the meeting, from our board meeting on June 2nd, 2026.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, okay. Letters of communication, I look down to you, Amy.
I don't have anything to pass on to you now.
Okay, no incoming or outgoing. Old business H. Under our new business, we have contracts A through Q. Quite a few contracts to approve. One of them we sort of discussed already with our agreement with the city in terms of security services. Is there a motion that we accept and approve contracts A through Q as presented to us in the agenda?
A motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Chairman,
sir.
can I ask, this didn't obviously impact approval. Can I ask a couple of questions on the police service agreement for Eureka? Is that a brand-new agreement with Eureka? Have we had one before with them, maybe said differently?
Continuation of dispatching.
Thank you. And the Jennings School District going from 3 to 2, is there something driving that? Other than finances, theirs? Not necessarily, no, okay. We'll go off record then, I guess, to hear about that. And the two St. Charles agreements, so there's a state crisis intervention program grant contract with both the city of O'Fallon and the city of St. Peter's. Eric, are those both brand-new, first-time contracts? No? Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Chief, we have a special order here, which is sort of self-serving. It has to do with you, says Chief of Police. Going to tell us about that. All right. Morning, sir.
Morning.
This special order for your review is really formality for CALEA to make sure that we have a CEO appointed for our organization and that prior general orders and policies and whatnot that might have been approved by like prior boards and prior chiefs are now assumed that they still adhere to that under Chief Cox.
A motion.
Yeah.
To approve it.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Opposed?
thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's well done. Congratulations.
He's now officially the chief?
You're now officially, I guess it makes it official. Do we have anything for item J, the public forum? No. The Board of Police Commissioners may vote to go into closed session for legal advice and review of claims and lawsuits involving the police department and for confidential and privileged communications with counsel, sections 610.0211 RSMO and section 114.02011 SL CRO, and to discuss personnel matters closed under section 610.0213 and section 114.020.13 SLCRO, and for discussions closed under section 610.02119 A and D, RSMO, and sections 114.0201121 and 23 SLCRO for discussions in which, if conducted in open meeting, would impair the ability of St. Louis County, the St. Louis County Police Department, and the Board of Police Commissioners to protect the security or safety of persons or real property, and the public interest in non-disclosure outweighs the public interest in disclosure of the records. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I move that the board goes into closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. We are now officially in closed session. Thank you,
Are we
everybody.
wait. Aren't we supposed to do that through voice vote?
Do we need a
to do that with the
voicemail?
voice vote, yeah.
Hold on one second. I messed up. We need to do a voicemail.
Yeah, you gotta do
We can do
a
it.
roll call.
Yeah, it's a roll call.
The roll.
Go ahead.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. We are returning to open session from closed session. There was a vote taken to, in fact, return to open session and a new date for our August meeting, which is August the 12th of 2026. Is there anything else? Thank you. Have a good day.
Wait, we got to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn from open session.
I'll second.
Commissioner Ashworth.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler.
Yes.
Thank
Commissioner
you so much.
Thompson. Commissioner Wild.
They gave me their proxies.
They
We're
go to
adjourned.
proxies. Okay. All righty.
Thank you, Amy.
See you next month.